Do you want to try putting out a fire in your home without the risk of getting burned? Immersive digital learning can let you practice this life-saving skill. Stick around to learn how. In this video, we're going to learn about immersive learning, experiential learning cycles, and why they are strong tools to use for developing practical skills. Let's imagine that you study geology. The topic of the current course is pyroclastic flows in active volcanoes. You can choose between two different teachers. The first teacher has written a 24-page PDF. The content is very relevant for the exam, so please study up and do the test. The second teacher has sent a drone down into an active volcano with a 360-degree camera. The resulting movie has interactive elements where you can click on symbols, pause, skip, move backwards and forwards. So when clicking on an item, a voice tells you what you're seeing.
Pyroclastic flow is a dense, fast-moving flow.
You get a virtual reality headset with hand controls in order to navigate inside of the volcano. You can, for example, zoom in or swipe to move around. The teacher has also provided Word files with all the narration written out in text and all the information that you need together with images from the movie, so that the content is also accessible offline and editable. Which teacher do you choose? This little example is meant to explain what immersive learning really means: to create an experience, and in this case with the help of technology that will get as close to the real deal as possible. And as you saw in the example, immersive learning aims to fully immerse the learner in that experience. This approach is based on neuroscience research and the added value of hands-on, practical approaches. Successful immersive learning requires significant input and expertise from a range of different fields, such as instructional designers, user experience design, data analytics, and audiovisual design, of course. But while it's easy to get carried away by the technical aspects, immersive learning is in essence not about the content or how it's delivered, but about the full learning experience as a whole. Immersive learning is in principle unlimited. Do you want to learn about the moon while you can actually bounce around on it in virtual reality? Or do you want to learn to put out that fire that we talked about without the risk of getting burned? No problem. We can do it right now. However, there are of course some limiting factors. First of all, the equipment needed for creating immersive experiences in a virtual or augmented reality is still considered to be rather advanced by most users. The process of creating these realities are also quite time and resource intensive. But despite these limiting factors, we will see more immersive learning experiences through virtual and augmented realities in the future. Why? Well, I believe it's because of the wow factor and the possibilities that this kind of learning entails, with deeper learning that anchors in feelings, especially when you compare it to that boring 24-page PDF document, right? As we have already established, immersive learning is a lot about the experience, and David Kolb has created an experiential learning cycle which we can use to manage experiences and thus immersion. It's divided into 4 distinctive steps. The first step is to reflect. Take a step back and look at the experience, and this can be done either individually, in pairs, groups, or as you wish. The activity can enable participants to reflect by writing down what happened and describe what they learned from it. The second step is to think. Thinking is about making connections between the experience and the possible learning. Third step is to act. Acting means putting new knowledge into practice. For example, asking participants to perform an action based on the knowledge and skill they have just acquired. And the fourth and final step is experience. Doing or having an experience can be achieved through using scenario-based activities, allowing participants to experience something firsthand. And then you start the cycle all over again. For the experiential learning cycle and immersive learning to work, you will need to set or create a whole scenario or world. When doing so, it's important to think of the following aspects. Who is going to be the main characters, managers, staff, etc. Where is the scenario set? What type of location are you working with? And this could be a workplace, a university, a hospital, or the streets of a city, Stockholm, for example. And what type of experience do you actually want your participants to live through? Experiential learning is thus all about the immersion, and it can be applied to anything from virtual and augmented reality to interactive videos and scenario-based training. But due to the focus of this video, let's investigate some ways of how you can apply immersive learning in digital learning experiences. First of all, immersive learning material needs to talk with as many senses as possible at the same time in order to facilitate that immersion. For example, a firefighter video that combines virtual reality with a heatable suit, a servo-controlled fake hose, together with the smell of smoke. If you don't get at least a sense of being in a real firefighting situation with that kind of assistance, well, we need to work on your imagination a bit. Another example is a 360-degree image of an accident scene after a car bomb went off, including sounds, screams, smells, etc. Or a 3D model of a large industry machine that can be set up and tested in virtual reality, together with the sound and vibration as the machine is being turned on and starts working. And last, but perhaps the most obvious and most common example of virtual reality is different video games, such as flight simulators, action RPGs and such. Some of them are more similar to our physical reality, while others are, let's say, distinctly different. And that was just a few examples, and I'm sure that you can name a lot more when you start thinking about it. In summary, immersive digital learning can let you exercise skills that would be too dangerous or otherwise too difficult to practice in person. While the cost of developing virtual realities or augment existing realities is great, the benefit is in many cases even greater. Now that we've dealt with the theories of immersive experiences, I urge you to go and find some kind of virtual or augmented reality to immerse yourself in. And while you do so, keep the content of this video in mind.